Sweet. Oh, where to even begin?
Where to begin on the sign of your sign?
On the sign of your sign, just on the whole reason that we named the podcast, I saw the sign.
Which is so fitting for us both.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So fitting since we are constantly seeing signs, not only for ourselves, but for each other, which I think is beautiful.
Really beautiful. Like I saw the sign today for you. So we text each other back the signs that we see for each other. And
Exactly.
so we're going to talk today about the sign of your sign, meaning sometimes we ask for a sign and then it's not a good enough sign. And so then we ask for more and more signs, as well as the way in which we can cultivate deeper self-trust in the use of signs and the way that the universe, God, source communicates with us. Is that fair to say, Abby?
Yeah.
We're kind of being silly right now.
Okay. Well, I think it's also relevant to even start before that, like the reason that we even ask for a sign in the first place. And I think people, at least for me, I know like I first started really hearing about signs outside of just, I don't know, kind of in pop culture was reading Gabby Bernstein, The Universe Has Your Back. And she's like, tells you how you can, or describes and teaches you how you can ask for a sign if there is something that you really want confirmation on, or if you want to know that you're on the right path. Because I think so often when you're starting to trust yourself and when you're starting to hear and listen to the voice of your own intuition, it's really hard to hear it in the beginning over the voice of all the things that you think you should be doing.
Right. And the things that are more full of logic and of tangible evidence versus the ethers and the universe and the way that our angels even communicate with us. And so I know for me, signs became big in my field when I was very young, but I didn't really understand why they were happening. And animals, and I would start to look when I was young, like early 20s, the meaning of like an owl. Okay, an owl. I could feel that it meant something, and so I would begin to start using, the internet. I don't know what age this was specifically, and just to see what it meant. And then like you, I can't remember what I saw, but I was watching somebody many years ago, probably on YouTube, who was like, well, you can ask for signs. This was before Gabby. This was before all of that. And it was like, you can ask for signs. And I was like, what a concept to ask for a sign, because I see them. And when they come up, I would look them up, but to actually have the power to know that we can ask and it will be given, right, was really incredible. So for me, that was a fun way to play. And it's always interesting how the signs show up, because we might be quite literal in our request and they might tease us a little bit. And I think that you have one of the best stories I've ever heard about the way in which you asked for a sign and then a sign of your sign. So I'd love for you to tell us about it. It's the best story.
Oh my gosh. Yes. So, well, for a while I had a cardinal as my sign. Cardinals are often kind of like this, you see on things in gift shops where it's like, oh, if you see if cardinals appear, it means angels are near. So like oftentimes it's something like a loved one that's passed away and you see a cardinal and that can be a sign that they're watching. And growing up, my mom, we had, a cardinal that always lived by our house and would always be in the window. And my mom named it Ricardo. And said it was her grandmother. So I was like, okay, I mean, this is just something normal that she's talking about. And so for a long time, it was a cardinal. And then when I moved to California, it became a hummingbird. So I'd see a lot of hummingbirds. And so there was one day where I was having, just some feelings and thoughts around something. And I wanted to make sure that I was on the right path with it. And it was kind of a big decision that I was making, and we'll keep it under wraps exactly what it was. Maybe we'll tell at some point. But I was having a hard time deciding what sign that I wanted. to receive. And I was already on a bird kick, I had the cardinal, I had the hummingbird.
Ricardo. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I was like, oh, but I was living over near Pasadena at the time, and Pasadena is weirdly known for having these like parrots that squawk. And I think it was for like a movie that they filmed there, and they like released these parrots into the wild, and now there are just a bunch of parrots over there. So you'll often like see or hear them kind of like squawking around. So I was like, oh, maybe I'll do a parrot. Or, my friend Callie, her sign is this like really particular 8-pointed star. Like maybe it should be that. And so I'm like going around and around in my head of like, what do I want the sign to be? And so I end up taking a walk later in the day, and I'm just going around the neighborhood, went down a street that I'd never gone down before. And I remember I was looking on my phone for something, trying to like probably find my way back. And I look up, and there is this, I don't want to be mean, but really ugly house in front of me that is just legitimately covered with all of the birds and all of the signs that I'd asked for. Like, we're going to need to drop a link to what this looks like. But literally a house that had like 2 cardinals on it, like 3 parrots, 2 hummingbirds, a sun, 8-pointed star
Oh,
sun,
yeah.
literally everything that I had asked for. And like, these are the moments where you're like, are they fucking with me?
Yeah.
Angel,
Yes, they are.
Angel screwing with me right now? Are they like,
Sweet
hey,
human.
in case you needed us to be crystal clear that like it's a yes, this thing that you want to do is a yes, let's just put all of these signs all on one house in a way that makes absolutely no sense.
And in a place that you would never see that again. It is not a common, yeah.
Right. And also, I have never been able to find that house again. Like, I have walked down what I thought was the same street, and I'm sure it probably exists, but like, I have never found it again after that day.
Or it existed right when you needed it. We don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know.
But it's like, these are the signier signs where it's like, oh, I asked for somebody to show me a hummingbird, but like, what if you could show me a hummingbird that's also with this other bird and with this other bird and then with this other thing? And then if it's that, then maybe it's a yes.
Then maybe I'll actually listen. And so
Maybe I'll listen. Maybe I'll try.
Like, I want you to listen.
Yeah.
We're turning up the volume.
Yeah. We're gonna make it ridiculous for you. So ridiculous, in fact, that you can't, you can't deny it. It's undeniable.
Well, and isn't it interesting too, because probably some part of you deep down already knew that your answer was a yes, but you needed that extra confirmation of whether it was support or that you could trust yourself, you could trust spirit, like whatever it might be, right? Like, I think deep down we actually know the answer, but because of, our emotional bodies and our emotional selves, which is so warranted and so part of the human experience that we both welcome in, it can feel foggy. And so I love that you got the confirmation you needed, but it was also probably like, well, yeah, I maybe also wasn't ready for the answer to be a full yes because of what it means on the other side, good, bad, or indifferent. It just means there's something new that we're going to have to walk through, which is the unknown.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think at the end of the day with science, the most important thing about it is that whether you get the sign that you ask for or you don't, gives you the answer that you were looking for.
Yeah.
Because if you're asking for a sign and you want it to go a certain way, then intuitively you already know the answer that you want to receive. And you're just looking for permission outside of yourself to tell you that it's okay for you to have that thing, whatever it is.
Or walk away from that thing or say yes to the thing or
like leave the relationship or go for the job or like
do the investment.
make the investment, like all of the things that are scary that your logical mind is going to be like, no, don't do that. That's going to really like mess up all of the stuff that we've already have like worked out here for you. So like probably don't do that, but you really want to do it. And you know that it's like the right thing for you. So you ask for that sign that'll make you feel like somebody's rooting for you. Somebody's there holding your hand along the way.
Yes, it's so true. One of my biggest stories was I was living in Georgia and I was looking at moving to Florida. And this is with my past partner. And this was actually right after I saw the video of like, you can ask for signs. And so I'm like,
Of
hey,
course.
why don't we, why don't we ask for signs? And so where we should move. And I said a turtle. I said, okay, we'll do turtle. So if a turtle's, because we were in a position too where we could have moved out west where my family was, we could have moved towards the water. We weren't really sure. And if a turtle was going toward land, that meant we were supposed to move out west. And if a turtle was going toward the water, we would move to Florida. And this was a situation in which I don't think, I know I really didn't know the answer. Well, about 6 weeks later, I happened to go on a walk down the Chattahoochee, because it was right, the Chattahoochee River is right there. And I look over and I see 6 turtles jump off of a rock into the water. And it was in that instance, I was like, oh,
There
I
it
know
is.
the answer. There it is. And I was quite a bit younger and again, kind of on this reawakening path where at that time, I probably didn't know the answer, and I was really open to receiving what was for the highest path for us, and so that is where I now still reside, is in Florida, because of those turtles jumping in the water. But at the time, it was so beautiful. It was like so confirming.
Well, and also the fact that you not only saw turtles, like you saw a really like real live turtles, like not even
Yes.
a picture of a turtle or like whatever. You saw like a family of turtles that were in movement, which, for turtles is a big enough deal as it is. And
Yes.
they're jumping into the water. They're like jumping. They're
Yeah.
jumping. I mean, I was going to say jumping into the unknown, but I mean, just the fact that they're jumping and they're the
Yeah. The
turtles.
leaping. Yeah.
Exactly. It's like all of the signs in the action itself, as well as in actually just seeing the turtles themselves.
Yes. Yeah. And so since then, I would say, and I know for you too, our work with signs, I would say we don't ask for them. I know for me, I don't ask for them as much. But now I find that they're actually just shown to me.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, so now I'm to the stage where I trust myself. I've cultivated so much deep self-trust and trust of God and being supported and life leading, that signs still show up. It just may not be exactly like, I'm not asking for an exact sign, so I know that, all of a sudden sunflowers came in my field, and then all of a sudden rainbows, and it was just this very consistent theme. And so I think that they're always there as long as we're willing to look and receive.
Yeah, exactly. I think in the beginning, and where maybe some of the people listening here are at, is maybe you're starting on that, spiritual journey, or you're starting to maybe hear and listen to the voice of your intuition, but you're afraid to really trust it. So it's a great way to start asking for signs, and to start just even being conscious of the fact that you do have the power to ask, and you do
Yes.
have the power to receive. And you're not like in this place. I think a lot of the time when you ask for signs, you're in a feeling of powerlessness. And so
Mhm.
it helps you kind of step back into a sense of ownership over what's going on in your own life, while knowing that you're receiving that support. And you get to practice learning how to trust yourself, and learning how to trust, your relationship with that which is greater, whatever you want to call it.
Right.
Yeah.
So beautiful. And if you're still reluctant to asking for signs, just start to notice what themes are around you now. Is there, every morning do you wake up and you go outside and you see something, a specific animal, or,
Ricardo.
oh, huh?
You see Ricardo just popping
Ricardo,
in.
if you see Ricardo, tell him Abby says hello.
Yeah.
Or repeating numbers, obviously something that's very well known is the repeating the angelic numbers, but just seeing what themes you start to catch, and asking and staying open to what is wanting to be revealed to you.
Exactly.
And a whole new world begins to open up.
And the numbers one that you bring up, I mean, I think that's probably the thing that's the most relevant or most seen in pop culture, is like angel numbers,
Mhm.
and people seeing 1111, or I don't know, 222 or 444, 1234. But I feel
Right.
like 1111 is probably the one that's the most pervasive.
That's the initiator. So I feel like people begin to see 1111 as the initiation into this deeper awakening happening within, and they can't quite, this is the messages that I get anyways, is, hey, I'm seeing 1111 or 111 a lot. What does it mean?
What does it mean?
Yeah.
Exactly.
What does it mean? And so I feel like that is the initiator. So if you begin seeing that a lot, you are being initiated into just this deeper awakening. And I would say synchronicity with life, with the flow of life, with life moving through you and waking you up to that there's more of you and more of your power that is waiting to be expressed and felt and touched by the world.
Exactly. And the fact that like becoming more awake and more conscious to the fact that we're not all just like human beings, like working a job and whatever, like until you eventually pass on. It's like we are spirits here in human form having an experience where, you know, it's like spirits having a human experience versus just like human beings with no connection to anything else.
Right. Yeah, we're here. It's, you know, Earth is a school.
And we're meant to be connected to all of these different things.
Yes. And our souls remember that, but our human is reconnecting with that remembrance within our bodies. And so that gets to be the outer evidence. The sign gets to be the outer evidence, as well as the intuition gets to be the inner evidence. And the more you learn to trust your intuition, which could be a beautiful podcast for another day.
Oh yeah. It will
the more those signs show up. And at the same time, you know, as we talk about this, I want to express too that it's never a bad thing to ask for a sign. It doesn't mean you're weak. It doesn't mean you're out of your power. It doesn't mean anything. We like to joke about asking for signs and like, but can I get a sign of your sign? Like, can you also, so like, we'll get the sign. So maybe sometimes in the past, I've gotten the sign and then I'm like, okay, well, that's great, but I just need one more. So you gave me the hummingbird, but now can I see the owl? Right. And so just like tying it all back
together, but holding hands.
Yes. like the turtles, but were they in the water? Did they jump in the, you know, we can like really break things down and get really in our human about it, which is also so
great.
beautiful. It's
beautiful.
so beautiful.
And it's just because, you know, the joke behind the sign of your sign is because you're still afraid. Like you're still afraid to trust yourself. You're still afraid to like take the leap or do the thing that you really actually want to do inside.
Yes.
And so this whole practice is just how you get better and better at learning how to trust yourself and feeling safe, trusting yourself and getting to know the things that you really want, because we are so, God, this is also going to be a podcast for another day, but like so conditioned from birth to just like follow all the tracks that have been laid out for us and in society. And as, you know, women, as men, if there are men listening to this,
there should be.
But yeah, just really helping us navigate and figure out who we are and what we actually want and what kind of experience we really want to be having while we're here.
Yes. And that it doesn't always have to be logical or make sense. And I'm not one to abandon logic because it absolutely plays its role, but let's just like pretend that so many of us have actually kind of mastered logic. And now we get to drop into the being and the feeling and the intuitive guidance of where our soul really does want us to go. And that is most often going to be illogical, along with the signs that you're going to see along the way. That will feel so good though. It feels so freeing when you're living that way and you're getting those confirmations and seeing and feeling the support.
Yes.
Yeah.
I feel like
as always,
a good point to wrap it up for today.
I agree. As always, Abby and I have the best conversations. And so thank you for joining us today. Yes, if you would like to connect more, where can we find us? Where are we, Abby?
Where can we find us? We might have to and a real ending for this.
Yeah, we will.
We will.
Okay, I'm going to stop. Well, I'll pause.